The black belt challenged a janitor to a friendly sparring match. What happens next? Silenced everyone in the gym.
Hey, you there, cleaning? How about a quick demo?
Derek Mitchell called out from the center of the mat, his black belt shining. Under fluorescent lights, bet you've never seen a real fight, right? James Washington paused his mopping and looked up slowly. At 42, he'd been working here just 3 weeks, arriving after hours when students had left. But that night, training had gone late. I don't want to bother you, Sensei, James said calmly, returning to his stain. Just finishing up so you can get back to it. Derek let out a loud, theatrical laugh. Everyone, look at this. The guy's too scared to step on the mat. Students chuckled nervously, some uneasy. What Derek didn't realize was that James had spent 20 years trying to forget who he once was. 20 years since walking away from the ring after a tragedy that changed everything. 20 years hiding a secret even his daughter didn't know. Come on, man, Derek taunted, approaching with a smug grin. Just a quick demo. Bet you don't even know how to guard properly. Show us the difference between a fighter and just a janitor. James felt a familiar fire ignite inside him, like muscles waking after years of dormancy. His eyes briefly met. Derek's passing a silent message that made the instructor step back involuntarily. Just an educational demonstration, Derek insisted, trying to mask his nervousness. Nothing serious, just to show the students why respect matters. James set down his mop and rose slowly. His movements had a strange fluidity, unexpected for someone who'd never trained before. Around the gym, students paused, sensing something was about to happen. All right, James said softly, his voice calm as a lake before a storm. When we finish, I expect an apology for turning this into a circus. Derek chuckled nervously. Apologize? You'll be begging on the floor when we're done? Unbeknownst to them, James had once been James, Silent Storm Washington, 5-time world MMA champion. He'd retired at his peak after an accident that claimed his best friend's life. Since then, he'd sworn off fighting. But some promises are meant to be broken when dignity's at stake. If you're enjoying this story of resilience and justice, subscribe to see how prejudice turned into a lesson Derek Mitchell would never forget. Derek adjusted his belt theatrically, relishing the spotlight. Everyone witness a lesson on hierarchy in martial arts, he announced grandly. The difference between dedicated fighters and those who just pretend. James stood in the center, watching quietly. His breathing changed subtly. He was transported back years to a night in Vegas, hearing taunts before his title fight. Look at that, someone shouted in the stands. That little black guy won't last 3 rounds. James had won by knockout, but the victory came at a cost. The racist comments and pressure caused him to lose control and sparring, leading to Tony Rodriguez's death and accident he blamed himself for. So, Janitor, Derek sneered, show us how to do a basic guard, or is that beyond you? The gym echoed with laughter, but James remained still. His eyes briefly closed, recalling the nightmare that haunted him. What's wrong? Scared? Derek pushed him lightly, a reckless gesture. James absorbed it effortlessly, like hitting a concrete wall. Derek's arrogant grin faltered. Interesting, James murmured. It's been a while since someone pushed me. Like that. Something shifted in his tone. Calm, but dangerous. Derek, oblivious, pressed on. Last chance. Either you play along, or I call security. You're going to lose your job. James slowly opened his eyes, meeting Derek's gaze. All right, he said softly, voice steady with authority. But after you'll explain why you turned this gym into a circus. Derek's nervous laugh sounded forced. You'll be begging for mercy when you hit the floor. What they didn't see was that James had spent years honing a discipline that turned rage into precise power. Each insult, each humiliation, only strengthened his resolve. His silent strength was about to show itself. Derek prepared to attack again, assuming his favorite stance. Feet apart, fists up. James observed intently. He saw the flaws, exposed ribs, unsteady stance, micro movements telegraphing intent. The moment was tense. James subtly adjusted his stance, lowering, relaxing, transforming into a predator. Sarah Chen felt a shiver. She had studied fighters and knew this was no ordinary man. It was primal, calculated. Interesting, Derek muttered, uneasy. The room's energy thickened. James advanced slowly, and Derek instinctively backed away. Problem? James asked softly, voice commanding. Derek's face flushed, realizing he'd challenged a legend. No problem, he stammered, trying to recover. Just admiring your posture. Did you learn that on YouTube? James responded with a calm smile. Actually, I trained at the Las Vegas National Gym, he replied. Derek frowned, recognizing the name. What kind of boot camp did you do there? Sarah quickly looked it up. Her blood ran cold. It wasn't just any gym, it was where champions trained. Last chance, James said. Apologize to Sarah, to your students, and to yourself, Derek, or you'll learn what real respect looks like. Derek hesitated, but the arrogance pushed him forward. He launched a punch fast, precise, but James moved. In a blur, he was gone, and Derek's fist passed harmlessly by. Nice try, James whispered, telegraphed your move. Derek spun wildly, trying to find him. The second combo came, fast, jab, cross, hook. But James was already countering, leaning back with impossible speed. Exposed left side, James said calmly. Derek's confidence cracked. Stop dancing and fight, he roared, throwing a reckless combination. That's when James decided enough was enough. Derek's third attack missed, and James was suddenly close. How? Derek whispered, stunned. Derek, James said softly, do you want to know the difference between training and real fighting? Before Derek could answer, James's hand touched him lightly on the chest. Derek flew backward, as if struck by an invisible force, landing hard. Silence fell. Derek lay stunned. No pain. Just awe. That's impossible, he muttered. Sarah's breath caught. She'd seen fighters, but this was different. Controlled, precise, legendary. James helped him up, eyes calm. It's leverage, timing, and energy transfer, he explained. Principles I've refined over 22 years. Derek ignored the hand, shaky but upright. In what? Sarah asked softly. She had uncovered the truth. James Washington Silent Storm, 5-time world MMA champion, undefeated, retired young after tragedy. The room was silent. Derek's arrogance dissolved. I retired at 29, James said quietly. Now I do whatever I can, leaning, maintenance, living. Quietly, the weight of his words hit hard. The room's energy shifted. Derek looked down, ashamed. I didn't know, he whispered. If I had, I'd have treated you differently. James nodded gently. Would you still have humiliated others if you knew? The question struck deep. Derek realized his real problem wasn't skill, but pride, believing he could belittle anyone. Sarah stepped forward. I've trained here out of respect, but what I saw today was bullying. The others nodded, disturbed. Derek's face burned. This has nothing to do with respect, he snapped. It's about discipline. Respect isn't earned with belts, Sarah said firmly. It's earned through character. James watched silently. Aye! His smile was steady now. Maybe I'll teach again, he said softly, but not about fighting, about respect, humility, and integrity. Derek, humbled, nodded. I'll change, he promised. It'll take time, but I will. Weeks later, the gym transformed. James became an instructor, sharing wisdom beyond techniques. Sarah's footage of the confrontation went viral, exposing Derek's arrogance. His reputation was damaged, and he realized that true strength is rooted in humility. James proved that real power isn't about dominance, but about character. Sometimes, justice arrives quietly, in ways that leave a lasting impact. And as for Derek, he learned the hardest lesson. Greatness isn't in titles, but in how you treat others. If this story touched you, subscribe to discover more stories about how resilience and integrity can turn humiliation into triumph.